Okay, what's in the pot today? I took some more frozen stuff out and moving it along. So, I have tomatoes, frozen tomatoes. That was in a gallon thing that was about this thick. Do it with one hand. And I just did skin these. Sometimes I skin the tomatoes, sometimes I don't. And this is tomato juice, frozen tomato juice I had in a gallon thing. And it's just like a square, frozen square. This is green peppers chopped that I had in a quart size. So to that I am going to add, this is drained and defatted sirloin broth. So I'm going to move that along. I'm going to dump that in. So all that stuff, I'm going to go ahead and put it in the oven at 350. Put the lid on it. And I'm not going to add water or anything because this is going to be turned to broth. And I'm going to get that started, and I'm going to be chopping up my cabbage next. Okay, I washed, took the outer leaves, bad outer leaves off, and I cut this little part off here of the end of the heart of the cabbage, and we save these cabbage hearts and eat them. So nothing's wasted except that little piece at the end. So then you just chop it up whatever size you want them to be, and so I'm going to finish chopping and add this to the vegetable soup. I had already washed up in there in a sack. I have equivalent to probably about 3 stalks of celery or thereabouts. So I'm going to chop that up and add it to the cabbage to get ready to go into the oven. Next I had 2 turnips. So I just chopped them up like you would a potato, and you just cut each end off, and you scrape off the boo-boos, cut off the boo-boos. And so I'm going to get these, finish getting these ready and add this to the pot. I've changed my mind. I'm not going to make vegetable soup. I'm going to make cabbage soup. So I've cut up my 2 turnips, and I cut up 2 onions. So I am ready to throw it all in the pot. Okay, my stuff is starting to thaw a little bit. I got some juice down there at the bottom. It still doesn't resemble cabbage soup, but it will by the time I get everything in. Okay, it's set for 350. I forgot to mention that. And there, everything is in the pot, clear to the top. As you can see, it has cooked down. It was all the way up to the top here. So it's cooked down. So I'm going to stir it now, and it's been in the oven about an hour and 15 minutes on 350. So I'm going to stir it and probably add a little bit more liquid to it. Okay, all of my frozen vegetables is not thawed. But I do have enough broth now that it's up to even with the veggies, which is good. So I did add 1 tablespoon of sea salt, a tablespoon of onion powder, tablespoon of garlic powder, about 1½ teaspoons of pepper, and 4 bay leaves. So now it goes back into the oven with the lid on it. Okay, this has been in the oven for probably a total, the frozen stuff was probably a total of about 2½ hours, and I put that in first, and then I chopped up the vegetables, I dumped them in, and they came pretty well to the top of the pot, but cabbage really cooks down. So now I'm going to put it on top of the stove, I'm going to bring it to a boil, and then I'm going to turn it down and just cook the vegetables till tender. And then I'll be ready. Okay, this has been about 40 minutes on top of the stove. I brought it to a boil, and then I turned down to simmer, put a lid on it. And so it is not quite there yet, so it's going to take approximately an hour on top of the stove. So it's just depending on your liking for tenderness. But the turnips are not quite tender. So I'll just cook it for about another 20 minutes. And there is one very cheap, nutritious meal.